Okay, well, here we go. You know, in many ways, I've been hit by a bus. No, wait, what is it? I got hit. What do I?
Been singing it all through.
Yeah, I know. And now when you're trying to like speak it out.
In many ways, I've been hit by a bus, and that's why I broadcast today from a private suite at Mumbai General.
All right, well, let's just roll with that anyway. Welcome back to The Grey Cricketer, where things have fallen apart in ways one could never have anticipated. If Australia... sorry, what am I trying to say? If Australia's performance, if Australia had played like this, but it was actually England and it was in Australia, I'd be fucking hammering England. I'd be hammering him as I did when England were out in Australia last time. Like it was just the team had fallen apart. It was pitiful. There were blokes going home. They made weird selections. Blokes have been flown in to play for sides who weren't originally selected. And now there's like multiple guys going home. Different, not related to the same field, but obviously the captain has gone home during a family emergency, which is obviously his prerogative, and he should be doing that, I suppose. But it's all systematic of just a tour that has just got away from Australia massively, and it is chaos. It's absolute chaos. They're picking, obviously, 3 spinners on a side. I don't think that was necessarily the wrong thing to do, but they've flown a guy over to do a job for a guy who was already in the squad. They're picking multiple guys that are injured. And they're going back on selections, and it's fucking chaos. It's chaos, and there's sweeping game plans which just look really bizarre, and the execution of those plans were poor at best, bizarre, definitely, and this tour has just it's just completely collapsed on itself for Australia.
Yep, just a comment to open up with. Well. We'll come back to this, but first thing they could do is look at Healso's masterclass online of how to sweep, and I think we'd find the tour would be going very differently. Mate, if we're gonna dive, we're gonna dive into this some India, mate. I gotta say, it's a bit of a boring conversation. Australia's performances in India and Asia. I mean, we can look all day, and we have, and we will, at what happened in Delhi, like what happened this time, how did you fuck it up this time, and that'll be a slightly different conversation to how did they fuck it up in Nagpur, which in turn is a different conversation around how they fucked it up at the end in 2017, and the tour before that, and the tour before that, and the tour before that. You know, actually all the way back to 1969. Mm-hmm. Like, we've won one game here since 2004. A lot of people seem to think we were really good back then here, but this is systemic stuff. And so that's why I say it's boring. The latest chaos is just a new form of tragedy. It's a new way of getting done over by India, down to just ongoing technical deficiency over here. And that then begs the question, where does that technical deficiency come from? Because this team is, whatever rankings mean, you know, they came in as number 1 in the world. I think they briefly weren't for a second when the ICC just decided to give it to India for 15 minutes, then gave it back. But this is a pretty good team that we've got. So naturally, because we're all goldfish memoried people, we're like, oh, we're number 1 in the world, so we should go over there and play like we're number 1 in the world. This is not how it works over here. Jared Kimber did an article the other day on his excellent Substack page. He just pointed out line by line, methodically, no one really scores runs here. No one scored runs here for the last 10 or so years. And I don't mean that as an excuse for the Australian side. But this is an ongoing, endemic, systemic thing. And more concerningly, getting worse because unlike previous tours where you could make an argument that Test cricket was not only spiritually but commercially taking primacy within each administration, it is just no longer the case anymore. And our preparation has had the least amount of quality as any with any tour that we've had, and it will continue to be that way because cricket is structured differently now. You know, like you can be a smart person when it comes to, you know, academic or any other kind of challenge or examination that you've got. But if you don't study for your exam, you're you're asking for failure, you know. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. I mean, that's why I find the sweeping conversation kind of boring, you know. Like, I actually think, and this is an unpopular thing to say, but there's a certain logic to what guys were doing in that everything else they've tried doesn't really work,
Yep.
you know. And if it does work, it works for a bit, you know. Like, people were staying quiet when, like, Usman Khawaja was sweeping in the first innings and doing well. But ultimately, like, you might have some outliers. Pete Handscomb's played well. He got out playing straight. Travis Head got out playing straight. But, like, you have a couple of outliers. Ultimately, you revert to the mean. In the Delhi game specifically, Australia played really well for 2 days. They had India in a really good position. They even had India 7 for 130. Though to say that slipped would be incorrect as well. India have 9 guys that can do it with the bat.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually 2 got it done.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. People then say, well, if we had an extra seamer, you know, like Stark in there, then those lower order batters wouldn't have had it all their own way. It's like, yeah, but we picked 3 spinners and they were the ones who got us to that position. I mean, India just get you at some point. And this is what happens every single tour. And it's only going to get worse. Structurally, we're increasingly set up for white ball cricket. So it's, you know, any of the, like, it's ran here, but like any of the criticisms that are to do with this idea that there is a makeup of the Australian side that can get it done in India, I think is misguided. I have something darker to say about that. You know, like, India got into Australia's heads. The guys started sweeping because they were at a loss as to what to do else, like otherwise. That's what happens when good players get to you. They scramble your mind. And the truth of it is, like, they scrambled their mind with good reasons because they're better on these decks. It's all, I'm feeling a bit forlorn about it all, really. But a lot of funny shit happened as well.
Yeah, there's probably a case to be made that Axar Patel has been the best batter for India so far in the Test series for these lower order runs. And yeah, you're right. You got 5 Test centuries coming in at 9 with Ashwin. Coming in after Axar Patel. I mean, it's just it's relentless, and just like all the plans and the changes, and the trying to find new ways to win. You know, I suppose Australia have to do something to try and win the series. And in lieu of actual preparation and spending time here beforehand, or having decks at home that you can prepare on at least, which will give you some sort of preparation for what it's like over here. They're just kind of trying to, like, shortcut their ways to wins here and there, and the fact that Australia got themselves in a position where they were in front for a couple of days is somewhat remarkable given the strength of the Indian side. But, like, it's Test cricket, and, like, you don't fluke wins, you don't fluke Test match wins, you don't fluke series wins. India were the better team when they beat us in 2021. Whenever they won at the Gabba, they were just the better team that series. They've been the better Test team this series this time around as well. But at the same time, I fucking hate the pricks. You know, as in my boys. You know, I'm not sorry, I'm not talking about India. Sorry, that getting into race relations there. It was a little bit early in the podcast. You know, I fucking hate these pricks of the Australian team. I fucking hate them. I hate them for a bit. You know, and I hated them when I was watching them. But then I was just thinking, like, I was just trying to think about it rationally. How do you beat India? How do you beat Jadeja and Ashwin? Because that's really who you're playing against. You're getting beaten by really 2 guys who were maybe their best ever. I mean, number two in their rankings in Ashwin, and number 8 in their rankings in Jadeja. I mean, Jadeja since 2017's averages 46 with the bat and 21 with the ball, or some shit. It's incredible, and they're both playing the same team at the same time on spinning decks. How do you win? How do you beat them? And I feel like the answer is you can't, unless you have more and more preparations to prepare. So you have longer preparations to get yourself in this space where you can actually understand what shots to play at what times. Now, what's actually more important is the Big Bash, because after this series, the IPL starts, and we're all going to be thinking, fuck, we really need a strong domestic T20 franchise in our own country to drive forward cricket in this country, and that's the Big Bash. And we've got to have our best players playing in the Big Bash. Now, after the South Africa series, there was a gap there where the ODI series was cancelled because South Africa was starting their own SA20 league. And Australia were not preparing for the test matches. They were playing the Big Bash because that's fundamentally more important. So these are quite dark answers where I don't know how we can win. Now, I think the good news is we won't lose 4-0 again here next time because as of next time we come back here in 2027, it's actually a 5 test match series. so that's good news.
No, we could still lose that 4-0 as well. That'd be a good series.
If there's rain. Yeah, which there won't be. Anyway, I feel depressed by it really because it's as long as Ashwin and Jadeja are playing. Ashwin's 36 and Jadeja's 34. And as long as those guys are playing Test cricket in India, I think I'm going to hate my team for longer.
It's funny you use that word. I know you're joking. I mean, I feel sorry for them a little bit, to be honest. I mean, these are guys who, these are guys for whom it's their, you know, if you're a batter, it's your biggest batting challenge to ever come here and to play against the best bowlers. I mean, I think statistically, Ashwin and Jadeja are among the best spinners or bowlers ever in their home conditions. I mean, as a batter, it shouldn't. You'd have to be licking your chops at that challenge, basically being the best at your level all the way through your life. And so the sorrow I feel for them is that you know, it's to your point, is like there's no investment in this series really from a playing perspective. Right. Ben Oliver made some comments the other day. He's the head of high performance. He denied that. You know, the when it was put to him that the preparation hasn't been adequate for this kind of challenge. I mean, I don't know how. He's obviously just defending it because that's what he's, you know, inclined to do in this situation. But right. It's indefensible. Like he says. He goes, there's a range of factors that go into the design and preparation for the series, and the players and the staff and the selectors all work together to design that preparation, okay? We will continue, win, lose or draw, to review all aspects of what we do leading into these types of tours, but in this case, I don't think that was an overriding factor, the preparation, that is. In fact, I think the involvement of those players that did take part in the Big Bash League was overwhelmingly positive for Australian cricket. Now, right. I'm not sure that his comment means exactly what he wants it to mean, but I think it's extremely instructive. Right. When he says it's overwhelmingly positive for Australian cricket, you know, I think what that reveals is that Australian cricket regards the success of the Big Bash League, for example, and the involvement of its best players in that, you know, let's call it the golden goose, as net positive over whatever happens here, you know, and the darker truth, as we've been talking about, maybe that's the title of the show, Darker Truths, but like the darker truth is that it may even be the case commercially here as well. Indians, you know, from our experience, although we're sort of holed up in a Mumbai hotel at the moment due to various fitness issues, like, because people wouldn't know where we are, this could be like a moon landing shit. We could be fucking, we could be in Melbourne, for all people know.
I got a chukkers coming from Uber Eats.
Is that sugar or gas cooker? Anyway. Oh, we're off.
From Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Got a gas cooker coming around.
That's the new one. Yeah. I'm sure that can't be far away. Our experience of being in India, and there's so many arms and legs to it, like it's been sensational. But I mean, even in the setup of our tour here, to lift the hood on it, it became quite clear that like many sponsors and vested interests are far more willing to get involved with their business, far more willing to market themselves around the IPL than they are Test cricket. You know, and I don't mean to blame the IPL. I just mean that white ball cricket, that commodity, is is more and more the thing around which the cricket economy is driven. And so that matters, that point matters in relation to what we're seeing here. You know, if you have this, you have that, if you accept that fact, you know, that Marnus and Travis Head and Steve Smith and David Warner and Usman Khawaja, I've just named the top 5 there. Let's go Matthew Renshaw. I don't know if Pete Hanscom was getting a game in the BBL, probably. You know, that they were playing the Big Bash League 10 days out, you know, from the biggest examination they get. If you accept that fact, if you accept the fact that businesses don't want to market around it, if you accept the fact that Ashwin and Jadeja are some of the greatest spin bowlers in their home conditions you'll ever face, and that the world is increasingly going in that direction, all Australia can hope for is that the next bunch of Indian spinners are shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, good chance that like fat chance that's going to happen.
Well, Axar Patel's barely had a role to do with the ball so far, but he absolutely took down England a couple of years ago. Man, he is fucking sensational.
So can I just say, like, on top of that, which is these guys have the team has to own it, right? The team has to own the things they fucked up, and they'll get better. They'll improve, no doubt, over the next couple of tests, but then they'll probably have 4 years off coming here again. It's not like riding a bike. You have to learn how to ride a fucking bike again.
In 4 years' time, where's Test cricket going to be at?
Well, exactly. So they have to own it. These are their mistakes. No doubt that the sweeping approach was the incorrect approach. Evidently, it was incorrect.
Right.
But they were just trying. They were just trying something. The guys are trying something.
Yeah.
In the face of other things that had failed, but it does grate me that, because we're just being serious here, it does grate me that when we do get dusted in India, as we do regularly, in fact, it's the norm that we get dusted here. And for Indian viewers out there, I say dust, I just mean beaten. I don't mean the decks are dusty. There they are. That the prevailing response seems to revolve around, again, this fucking intangible, nebulous concept of hardness or whatnot. And in this occasion, the new iteration of it was none other than the man who is enjoying the greatest boost to his reputation and legacy that he's had so far, the Big Doss, heading down to the deck after the day's play, the king of the broom, with a broom in hand and his pink hat, just there to mock his own countrymen, minutes after they lose in humiliating fashion, at once mocking them and simultaneously drawing attention to his success with the broom. One difference being that when he got his broom politics out, and it was a good broom he had, he prepared for 2 months, leading into that. In fact, it was years, as far as I understand, with Bish and Betty, Prasanna there. Those opportunities are not available to our players anymore. I thought that was a little bit on the nose. Followed up by Healso on SEN, even better. Standing, and if you haven't seen it, it's one of the greatest contributions to cricket culture, digitally speaking anyway, that I've seen. So I'll just try and describe it. Ian Healy is in the SEN Queensland studios. You can see the vista of the Brisbane CBD in all its glory behind him. He's wearing a Queensland cricket zip-up jacket, tracksuit pants, and is it Hoka, Hoka, trainers. He's standing in front of a metal mini garbage bin.
A little dustbin there.
Little dustbin that they've gone, well, that'll be the stumps. Yeah. And his trusty Kookaburra bat. And he proceeds to deliver a 1 minute 40 masterclass on how you actually play the sweep shot. I'm paraphrasing, but I think he introduces it as these are the perils of sweeping, and he commences with how to play the sweep with deliveries that are straight. So first thing he says is like, look, if it's bouncing, you can sweep confidently on the stumps because it's going to go over the top.
It'll go over the dustbin.
It'll go over the dust. Well, it would go over the dustbin. He's like, but in Nagpur and Delhi, it wasn't doing that.
Right,
just noting in Delhi, a lot of people praised Nathan Lyon's success in the first innings because of the bounce he was getting, but now it's low, so that's all good.
Right.
So he goes, when it's straight, you got a couple of, you actually come down the deck.
Got to come down.
You got to come down, and you can defend, you can hit straight, you can even go over mid on.
Right. Okay,
so
you got 4 options.
and or mid off,
or mid off, sort of cover, go inside out.
And that forces him to bowl wider.
Yeah,
he says. Yeah. Okay. So once I'm just thinking Ashwin and Jadeja, like, he's got us here.
Yeah.
And then.
Okay, he's coming to the deck.
Yeah, okay, so he's going to come down to this, is he? Fuck me, okay, I'm going to have to bowl wide. He's like, I got an answer for that.
Yeah.
He's like, once it's wide outside off stump, you can confidently sweep conventionally because you're not going to get out of LBW. Or
outside the line.
Or just reverse them. Not many fielders.
Only one there.
Only one or two there, so there's runs. Okay? And so if it's neither on the stumps or outside off stump, you got balls that are drifting onto leg stump and beyond. And he goes,
what do you do then?
Well, too often the players were defending that ball. What you've actually got to do is paddle that one fine.
You've got to paddle that one fine.
You've got to paddle that one fine. Now he says, in mitigation.
Right.
He's like, sometimes I got 2 fielders there.
Okay.
So instead, you just come down and hit him over a cow.
I'm convinced that he didn't know that was being filmed, and he was just in the offices.
He thought it was a mirror. I mean, I got to say, like, it's people may be listening, going, "Look, I think we've laboured. Excellent, Gloveman. We've laboured the point on the generation wars. What has it got to do with any of this? Well, what it has to do with it is that these guys are still not putting their cues in the rack when it comes to explaining our struggles, or the current generation struggles in India through this prism of, like, firstly, the nebulous hard-nosedness. When we've talked about it, that's rhinoplasty and concrete into your noses, are melted on day 3. Can you melt concrete? Don't know, city boy. Or simply play straight. And now, in Healso's case, it was a masterclass on how to sweep. So, I mean, I guess the first thing is, I mean, if that hasn't made its way to Ronnie Mack, get that over to Ronnie post haste and get the boys watching that. If that doesn't happen, what are we even doing? Clip it up. Yeah,
Clip that up. Send over to Michael DeVenuto.
But these guys do have cachet when it comes to how the nation is viewing what's going on. The questions are deeper than these things. Yeah, Gerard Whateley, I'm going on here, I'm sorry, but Gerard Whateley said that Australian cricket needs a reset of its strategy in India. The strategy is set, and it ain't Test cricket. 2004 till now, 1 Test victory. It's not working, and I don't see an economy within cricket where things will swing back to investment in Test cricket anytime soon. No. And that's the depressing thing.
Agreed. I get the feeling, looking online or just talking to my mates, like a lot of people are really upset about what's happened in this tour and how the Australian team have played, and the manner of this loss in particular. The first loss, the first Test match, they were just completely outplayed. I think many people, if not most, conceded that India were just too good, best team won. Australia got themselves in a good position, and then they just sort of fell over. And now I think this time people are really upset. And they look to the guys in the media who are all the great, like those that great team. A lot of those guys in the media. And the absolute fucking dribble that these guys consistently come out with, which suggests to me, like, are you watching the games? Do you watch cricket in India? Do you even know the names of the players? So do you understand cricket economics? When I say cricket economics, I don't need you to have a fucking master's degree in economics. I just mean economics in terms of where the game is going. Like, they must understand, if they are in media and decide to, like, communicate publicly about the team that they used to play in. And I guess that's actually part of the problem. They still think they're playing in the fucking team. But like...
or that the team is theirs.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But, I feel like a lot of people are being led down this path of, like, Cummins is too woke and he's fucked off back home and the team's a shambles and they don't want it enough and they're not hard enough and they're just trying to, like... I get upset by, like, how much our great players let down the public by their lack of information and hammering the current team so unfairly and irrationally, and to be honest, poorly, for their own gain of, like, I was a good player.
I mean, it's their great.
It's a great shame.
Blind spot.
Yeah, because
to those guys, because they actually undersell their own skills as cricketers when they do that. They think they won because they were harder. They did. I mean,
they were just terrifically skilled cricketers.
Yeah, and we all know what happened. They started destroying everybody. Steve Waugh and the boys got bored. They started bringing in guys like Brett Lee because he was good looking in the sheds. Probably a big piece on it. And
probably.
Well, guaranteed. And having a bit of fun that way. They started sledging guys because they were bored as well, and trying to get a military edge on shit because winning, got boring.
Yeah.
They let themselves down when they locate their success, I think, in these kinds of attitudes.
Right.
And it has really, just again, like with a little parentheses, Australia's loss here was the loss of the team. But I do think that they scramble the minds and they misguide the public and the players when they continually suggest that these notions of, like, hardness and these outdated, frankly, like, what's the word? Like, are really like glib explanations of how to play. Like you got to play straight here, or Healso's in the studio, you know.
You've got many options, mate.
He's got 6 options for every shot. Ashwin and Jadeja can't sleep, you know, looking at that.
So what you're
Ashwin
doing
and Jadeja are absolute bits looking at that, by the way.
So you come down the track to one ball. They think, fuck, mate,
if it's straight, it's
wide.
over the top.
Yeah.
If it's outside off stump, you can actually broom or reverse dog it. And if it's outside leg stump, you lap it or go over cow. It's very simple, chalk. But they do, you know, because our public reveres these guys. They listen to them.
They do, yeah.
I think the current team could do with a bit of fucking support from these guys, particularly as they should understand how difficult life is over here. But there are scores to settle. There have been guys with fucking drafts for 12 months with an itchy trigger finger just waiting to go for it. And, you know, it's not the main story out of it, out of all this, but I got to say it doesn't help, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even when Australia won in 2004, do you know the leading wicket taker for Australia was Jason Gillespie, 20 wickets. Kumble actually had the most wickets. He had 27. I think Harbhajan was next, but he didn't play the last couple of games. I think from memory they replaced him with Murali Kartik. I think that might be right. Anyway,
that's good from you.
The point being that like when Australia won here, it was they were very, very different conditions in those. Glenn McGrath had equal wickets with Shane Warne. So Gillespie was first for Australia. Then McGrath and Warne both had like 14 or something like that. Yeah. So you know they're winning with Kasprowicz played a big role in that series as well. You know that they're very, very different to what they're facing in this series. Now, we should probably just spend a moment to praise India. I think lots of in lots of capacities probably Indian fans probably haven't got to see what they wanted to see so far, because I'd imagine the Indian batters aren't stoked with the decks either. Axar Padel's been doing okay. Obviously, Rohit scored 100 in that first game as well, but we haven't really seen the best of. Well, KL Rahul must be very close to being dropped for this third Test match, but you know, Pujara, Kohli. I think Kohli looked okay.
Kohli looked ominous in Delhi.
In the first dig, he got 44 or something like that, but he hasn't done the business. Shreyas Iyer, no runs so far in this game, and he obviously replaced Sky. You know, Bharat, the keeper. I mean, we haven't really seen the full. The full quality of the Indian side just yet, because we haven't needed to, because it's basically just two guys.
They're like Border Gavaskar Trophy bingo so far has lacked someone hitting 250 from India. Right. But someone normally goes big at some point. This person will never get out in 10 years.
If someone scores 250 on these six, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a dig. So I suppose you know, Jadeja 742. I think career best figures. I think for him, he obviously just come back after 5-6 months off. He just looks the best player ever. Ashwin just doing the business. He'll probably go past the line in the next Test match for wickets. It's all too good. It's all too good.
So we could uproot our entire cricket infrastructure. We could collapse the pyramid to invest in some Nagpur soil or whatever it is to become ready for Test cricket, or we could just complain and deal in prejudice.
That's easy.
And whinge about the pitches and hope to encourage some private equity for our BBL sides for some coin, so we can be the Sydney, Super Kings, and hopefully there's still buckets on our sponsors.
In this game, we saw Pete Hanscom bat in a lid, in a baggy green, a floppy.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him bat with a KFC bucket on his head.
Yeah.
And that's to his great detriment.
Well, and it costs them money. That's money in the bank. That's money in the bank. That's money for juniors.
That's a good point.
That's nets.
Yeah.
That's nets that eventually an adult can burn down when they
hit
it all goes straight up.
Yeah.
Burn it down. Have to sort of
think about the kids, Pete. Think about the kids, Pete. Hey, in terms of Australian chaos, Dave Warner is going to go home.
Oh yeah, some of this stuff, yeah.
That was announced today, this morning Indian time. Josh Hazelwood's going home, hasn't recovered from Achilles injury.
Yeah, he's Kirk Pangilly.
And who else is going home? Cummins has obviously gone home temporarily.
That was it. Mitch Swepson's reported to be coming back.
Right.
If Warner goes home, then it will, I suppose, beg a question about who comes in or who they fly over, because they will need a spare bat. So.
Right. Yes. I suppose. Who would that be, do you reckon?
Well, Wrench. Well, I don't know. I mean, Cameron Bancroft's leading the Shield for runs. Yeah. So, that will be an appropriate replacement, at least for Indians online.
Yeah, of course.
It's a very good online selection.
Finally a win for Indians online.
So, yeah, that's right. Absolutely stinging for a win. Yeah. Oh, geez, desert dry out there for the Indians online.
Dave Warner's an interesting one, though, isn't it? In terms of, he obviously in the space of 2 balls was concussed and then had a hairline fracture on his arm, but
he batted on for a bit with a fractured elbow as well, which is that's pretty tough.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
That's not tough enough for me because he didn't bat on long enough. When you think about it, but here's an interesting one because he won't play the rest of the series. Obviously, going home. Will he be selected for the World Test Championship final? Should Australia make it? That is an interesting question because that's obviously ahead of the Ashes. So, gun to my head right now, I suspect he's going to be in the broader squad. Though, if he's in the squad, he's going to play. I wonder if I don't know. It's an interesting one.
It'll be. I think that they'll afford him the question about what he wants to do for his career. I wonder whether absence makes the heart grow fonder. I mean, I think if he actually stayed in and around the squad and scored very few runs, which is essentially his pattern in India, it would put more pressure on him. But if going home is matched with any replacement struggling to make runs, and that replacement up the top will probably be Travis Head now after that second innings, I suppose. Then, it'll be up to him as to whether he wants to go. I think, I think those questions around retirements and stuff like that are always, always feel a little bit grim. Discussing, if and when someone's got to do it. But we are firmly, we're not just in the ballpark. We're on the mound with Warner.
Yeah.
Particularly given that he failed so roundly last time in the UK. It might be better just to crack on. But I think they'll probably afford him the chance to make that call, and I wouldn't have too many problems with that either.
Yeah. Anything else from this test match?
I just figured, I don't know what the relationship is between people who listen to this show and then see our socials and stuff. But I mean, just on a personal level, it's been extremely rewarding and enriching to be here for all of this. Like, to even go to Delhi, particularly we went to the first 2 days of Delhi where Australia played very well, and to go through all of that, to experience the chaos of India, even just getting our accreditation, which we got done, to get the help from people, to go out in Delhi, with a couple of the journos, which was cool. That all of our shows have been sold out and we've been received so warmly from Indians, I think is worth noting. And then also we had the fortune of being invited to take part in the lunchtime segment on India's major TV broadcaster, Star Sports, on the field, where we went onto the field. It was day one, lunchtime. Crowd was heaving, people yelling out from the stands. Hashtag TGC. It's like, we're just here, guys. Hashtag around it. But
don't need a search tool to locate that audio.
Yeah, just here
in my ears. Just go in my ears. Yeah.
And so we we went out there and we were told you're going to be doing a segment with the excellent broadcaster host Mayanti, and as well as Sunil Gavaskar and Mark Waugh, and that was really fucking cool. Said good day to those guys, and they invited me to Sledge Junior on air, and just couldn't do it. As in, just like, mate, you're my hero.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it on Indian TV, to my own countrymen. I'll do it on a podcast you don't listen to. Nah, Junior was cool. It was cool. It was cool to see him. So we've had some cool shit like that happening. Good. Yeah, it's been good.
The Women's World Cup is heading towards the pointy end of that tournament. Australia has already secured their place into the final four. They're the only team to do so. So far. There is one round of games tonight, which is, I think it's England and Pakistan, and then Bangladesh and South Africa. Yeah.
To decide who joins Australia in that side of the group. England's in, aren't they? Like, England and India are sorted?
Yes, they are, but they don't know who's going to finish on top.
Yeah, right. So England, India, one side, and then Australia guaranteed first to arrive in the semis, guaranteed top spot. It's the least I expect. 4 straight wins, not even tested.
Net run rate 2 point something.
Net run rate 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I expect.
100%.
No more, no less.
No.
I turned on here a couple of hazy nights as well. Turned on Australia's batting. Healso again. This time Elisa, a real one. And Beth Mooney just destroying Sri Lanka.
Looks too
good.
Yeah, it looks way too good. Yeah, then bowling Sri Lanka out for 60 or something.
Yeah, good.
It's all very, very good. I don't think anyone's really done anything outstanding so far. It's just been complete cruise control.
Yeah, that's what you want as well.
Now the Australian
Is it so good that there's a loss they had to have?
well, they had it before the tournament. Lost to Ireland.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, Ireland were a hit away from knocking over India last night. You see that?
Yeah.
India won by 5 runs in the Duckworth-Lewis method or whatever the fuck. And so that would have been cat pigeons for India and really sort of put the...
Cat pigeons.
It would have been cat pigeons. It would have put the real brakes on the festivities happening in India at the moment due to their men's results against Australia.
Yeah.
Got to tell you, we had a show in Hyderabad and... at a pretty cool bar, and they were playing India, Pakistan. That is, the women were playing in the World Cup, and all that famed, devotion to cricket that we're told about from India doesn't seem to extend to the women's team, as far as I could see. Even a couple of gags on stage about India and Pakistan playing each other. There was just a lot of, partridge shrugs. in the audience.
That's right.
So,
okay, so looking at the fixtures here, what's the date today? 21st. Mm-hmm. The first semi-final is in 2 days' time, which would be Thursday. That's Australia's game. They'll play against. Is it either India or England? Is that how it works? Surely it must work. They'll finish. They'll play in second place across the group. The other semi-final is the next day on Saturday, and then the final is on Sunday night. Which Australia will be in that. So Australia's going to win the World Cup on Sunday, guys. Just letting you know.
We can declare now.
Oh God!
Australia's going to win the World Cup on Sunday.
I'm so sorry, girls.
Absolutely.
If I've just ruined it.
Yeah. So Australia's won the
So
World
Australia's
Cup.
won.
They've won, and they appreciate that.
They didn't lose a game. It's just been
once
unbelievable. It's been a great tournament for the girls, and this team just does it over and over again. Multiple World Cups in a row. They barely lose a game.
You name it, someone will get it done for you. And on this occasion, it was
Alana King.
Alana King, exactly. Okay.
In what capacity? In which game?
The final.
The final.
Yeah.
Well, Meg
That's what we're
Lanning.
talking about.
No, it's actually Meg Lanning's triumphant return.
Right.
And Meg Lanning actually scores a brilliant 34 off 27 to chase down England's 125.
Okay.
And it was just cruise control. Beth Mooney and Elisa HEALY started off the top. They did quite well, but then it was just Lanning, and it was only a low score. It was 2 down.
Australia 2 down.
It's
Yeah.
2 down. So Australia won the World Cup 2 down on Sunday night. You can take that to the bank.
To the bank, yeah. Well, that's kind of... Are we allowed to say that? Yeah. Don't take it to the bookie.
The other test match series that's been going on is New Zealand and England. And England fucking pumped New Zealand in the way that only England can, and I'm scared about it, no question about it. Let's talk about that first game at the Mount.
Sorry, mate. I think it's relevant to the group.
Okay.
I just got a message on WhatsApp from my mates group, just mates from school. Just one guy who's done Viagra here? Any good?
Honestly, you won't need
keep
it.
the thread going for a couple of hours.
You won't need it because when Australia wins the World Cup on Sunday night, 2 down, chasing England's 125, you won't need to worry about it. You will not need to worry about Viagra. Those little blue pills. Yeah. Okay, so over in New Zealand, the first test match, England batted first and made 325 for 9. Now, the thing about that is they batted 58 overs and they declared. So they were going at, 5.5 and over.
Yeah. Pink ball, Mt Maunganui, sent the flat tracks of Pakistan.
Right.
Just probably be doing a bit too.
So they were just basically teeing off to, 5.5 and over to try and bowl a night.
Yeah.
Which they did successfully. So they made 325. Ben Duckett made 84 and Harry Brook made 89. I'm sure you've seen a clip going around of Is it Harry Brook just taking down Southie down the ground, just like lofted on drive on the up? Fucking incredible shot. I mean, he's the guy who's actually replaced Johnny Bairstow. And Bairstow must be not that far away from coming back, I suspect.
Yeah.
Neil Wagner took 4 for 82 in the first innings. Then New Zealand made a good fist of it. They actually came back with that. England took 3 wickets that night. Now,
325 or 59 overs. So that's the second least amount of overs batted before a declaration in the history of Test cricket. So they could have a rock and roll at night. Got them 3 for, including Kane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, Devon Conman made 77, and then Tom Blundell made 138. So New Zealand actually got to 306. So that's his 19 runs behind on the first innings. And then, so Ollie Robinson took 4 for. His record with the pink ball continues. He's got a fantastic record. James Anderson, 3 for. I've not heard of him before, but he sounds like he's got a good future.
Promising.
And then England made 374 in reply. So that is a lead of what are we looking at there? 390. And basically everyone scored runs except for Stuart Broad, the Nighthawk, who was tweeting about him, calling himself the Nighthawk, and then English journos sucking themselves off about...
dry, actually.
Sucking themselves dry?
Sucking themselves dry.
Yeah, sucking themselves dry. What are you doing? Oh, I'm sucking myself off.
Was it dry or not?
Are you dry? Are you sucking yourself dry?
It's at this moment. Tell me if this is too indulgent, but our last show when we did from Hyderabad, where you started it by looking down the camera saying Indians, you fucking doctored the pitch.
Yeah.
And then we finished it with a chat about the obsession of club cricketers with group sex.
Yeah.
We bumped into Harsha the next day.
Right.
And Harsha said, I heard the start and the end of your show while I was walking in Hyderabad. I was like... So Harsha, those English journalists are sucking themselves dry, brother. You know it and I know it.
Like, only England could ruin what is just an amazing turnaround in Test cricket and the excitement that they're bringing to this sport and how good it must be to be watching this team play as an England fan.
Yep.
Only they could fucking ruin it with the wetness and the sucking oneself off.
Foreskin and all.
Trying to get the balls in the mouth as well by getting off so hard on like this idea of someone being a Nighthawk, because it's like a night watchman, except he goes really hard and he tries to score lots of runs really quickly.
Clip it up.
Only you could ruin that, England. Now, surely there must be English fans out there being like, oh, it's a bit fucking wet, isn't it? Come on, guys.
Wet is the word.
Broady, come on, bro. Fucking hell. The Nighthawk, Jesus Christ. Anyway, everyone scored runs.
Look, to be fair to the English journalists who admittedly are sucking themselves dry over it, you probably would. Really, I mean, these guys are you probably would do that if you're able to do it.
Yeah.
Stokes and McCullum they've won 10 tests from 11 games, both of them taking over when England was at one of its lowest ever ebbs.
I'd like to see them do it against our boys.
So is that Auntie Donna? Look at Pud. I'll see them do it against our boys.
Gaza. Now we've got this Todd Murphy.
Yeah, Murph.
I'd like to see him do it against us.
They'll definitely do it against us, but yeah, 10 of 11. They hadn't won a game in New Zealand since 2008.
Right.
You can win in Pakistan, pretty flat. But
Sure.
to do it when it's hooping around at night. Now, admittedly, New Zealand picked a bunch of fucking nuff bags.
Yeah.
No Bolt, no Jamison. Other guys, I don't say any names, but
Blair Tickner.
yeah, Scotty Cooks coming in. But
Yeah, Bracewell.
no, but I mean, this is perfect for because very soon it's going to be Bazball v the Aussies, and it'll already we're out there going no, they can't do it against our mob. It's like, man, they're doing it against everybody.
Yeah.
They'll be fine, and it will be awesome to watch. and it will play on our egos deluxe. Every time I look at an England scorecard, it seems like everyone seems to make between 30 and 80 off fewer balls than runs that they've made. They've all done something in this game. It feels. Robinson 4, Anderson 3, and Broad had a massive spell. They're all the blokes making runs. Stokes isn't even coming in at his allotted number because he was doing a shit, so someone else came in.
Yeah,
seriously,
that's why Broad came in.
Right, because Stokes is doing a shit. This is I mean, if you're an England fan in that situation, from being a bunch of piss weak, fucking mediocre dead shits, same tools, same weapons, same guys, and they're just beating all comers, you would suck yourself dry.
Mate. I'd be so amazed.
2 times on Sunday.
I'd be so emaciated. You
need hydration and electrolytes.
Oh, yeah. I'd have hydrolytes next to me bed. I'd be sucking myself off so much.
So, apologies to the journos out there who have been very helpful to our show many times and supportive. It's more like saying that's what they're doing, and that's what one would do, because it's extremely exciting and it's a revolution, and wait till fucking come over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Scotty B, the barrel.
Wait till barrel comes in, mate.
Anyway,
tailing him into the old fucking blow that front pad.
Just to finish what happened in the game, by the way. New Zealand were chasing 394 in the 4th innings, and then they were bowled out for 126. Stuart Broad took 4 for 49, and James Anderson took 4 for 18. Stuart Broad, by the way, was bowling, and Ben Folkes was keeping up to the stumps with the pink ball. It looked fucked. So there you go, more stuff. Where he's got probably best gloves in the world, keeping up to 135 k's an hour. Not bad if you like that sort of thing, and I do. That sort of stuff gets me off hard. Anyway, so the second Test match. I think it's at Wellington. The second Test match is at Wellington. It starts on Friday at your conventional Red Bull times. I think I've said this before, but I'll be very interested to see how Australia go about this. What's happening with Bazball and what's going to happen for the Ashes? Because by the time Australia gets there, they're going to be decimated 4-0 here. The IPL will sweep all that aside, and we'll sort of forget about that. Australia will probably beat India in England. And then so is Australia confident? Are we good? How are we feeling? Is there any sort of form there? I don't know. What's the preparation like? But
I'm not as bullish on Australia beating India in England as you are. Because it's at the Oval and it's flat. Now, things can happen on flat decks.
I'm just saying, I'm not 80-20 on it. I'm more I think Australia will probably go in favourites.
Australia has the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. They fucking obliterate us mentally the way that they are, though. I remember when England beat us in the 05 Ashes. I think I just remember that. And then they came out here not to India. They came to Australia for a one-day series. And then I remember the first game was at Marvel, or whatever the fuck they called it then, Telstra Dome. And Flintoff in ODI kit bowled to Gilchrist, and he just swung one past his bat, and just looked exactly the same as it did in England, and they all just laughed because it was just nothing had changed. Their kind of disintegration that can happen can affect what happens subsequently. But I take your point. It's
Jadeja and Ashwin,
wait till we get into the Oval. Basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
and I think Kerry would do well to say that behind the stumps.
He would do well. Anything else on that? My point being is I would be very I'd be very worried if the line out of the camp was, let's see them do it against us, because they're literally doing it's everyone in all conditions.
They had been. They said that. I think they said that after the first couple of tests.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll be saying that as much. No. They already have winning 10 from 11 means they already have serious credit in the bank. They could endure 4 or 5 losses, England, and straight, and it would still be the right thing to do. Really, already, even if it's an approach that doesn't quite get the job done in the difficult away tours to Australia and India, it's already a success. And frankly, looking at the way Australia's playing in India, it's crossed my mind several times. In the absence of any other approach that works for scoring runs in India, why wouldn't you have a crack at Bazball with under Brendan McCullum, who obviously knows how to do it? It's a very, very good thing.
3-0 in Pakistan. Probably 2-0 here in New Zealand.
Flattest shit ever.
60 wickets.
Yeah, 60 poles.
Yeah. Amazing.
60 poles. No, I can't do it.
All right, should we thank Manscaped for
Manscaped's
support
back.
for this show?
Manscaped's back.
No, just want to say, Pez, on Manscaped. Before I left over to India, my situation was getting a little bit hairy, shall you say?
Rugged.
Yeah, a little rugged.
Yeah.
A little rugged.
Nottingham.
Yes. And then it was in a situation where it was like, well, if I'm going overseas the day before an international tour and I'm in the shower and my girlfriend sees me shaving my dick,
Yeah.
she'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's a bit for the show.
Yeah.
And that is true. And people
How
would-
was the experience?
What do you
Now
mean?
that we're on the show now, so you've told your girlfriend that you've done it for the show.
Oh yeah, no. But my overall point being was that I didn't do it. I didn't manscape before.
Oh, you didn't, because you didn't want your girlfriend to suspect that you were doing that to give yourself the optical inch for adultery purposes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very thoughtful.
Yeah. That's right.
You're very helpful.
Speaking of Viagra, actually,
Yep.
I was in a nightclub in Southampton once, and my mate, who I was with, we'd just been to St Mary's, and Southampton were in like Division 1 then. They had Ricky Lampert playing up front, and Adam Lallana was the captain,
Okay.
and they beat Yeovil Town.
Just about to be hired by Liverpool. Yeah.
Yep. And we went out to this nightclub in Southampton, and for some reason he had Viagra in his pocket,
Yep.
and he said, "Do you want to do one?"
Do a Viagra at a club.
Yep.
Would you like to walk around with it? Yeah.
Anyway, so at this point I'd had enough drinks where I was like,
Yeah.
I'm annoyed you haven't already asked me for a Viagra.
That's right.
So now we're in the cubicles together of this South African nightclub,
Yeah.
and we're sharing a Viagra.
It's
No. I'm sure there's no further questions.
It's swallowed orally, isn't it?
Well, I learned that was the conventional way in the end.
Go
So-
and
so
crush
now
it
we
up.
do it.
Go and crush it up and put it on a little ledge in the cubicle. If I can.
Yeah. No, we literally just ate.
Go to the cubicle and like take a pill.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that pill was Viagra.
Yep. And
I would have been 24 at this point.
Alright.
Now, some people need that for any stage of life. I've never required that for me just yet. Maybe one day. Anyway, so it didn't really have any effect. But as I understand Viagra works, it doesn't give you an erection. Once you get an erection, it maintains that erection. That's how I understand Viagra to work.
well,
I could be wrong.
I mean, what happened?
I blacked out, and then I came to 5 days later in a farm. No, nothing happened that night, but then the next morning was one of the. Mate, talk about hard nosed cricket. I could have represented the world.
Really?
Yeah, against Mars. I was that hard. I was good to go.
Yeah, right.
For hours and hours. It was
Was
actually
it a
quite
feeling?
painful.
Were you feeling aroused, or was it just your penis is hard, irrespective of what the brain is doing or feeling sexually?
Hard dick.
Just a hard dick.
Pandia.
Yeah. So you could just be like, I'd like some eggs for breakfast, but for this raging erection.
I would like some
Yeah,
extra
yeah. Like
breakfast,
I'm not. I don't.
but for.
because sex is in the brain. Ultimately, it's a brain operation.
You have said that.
It's a brain exercise.
Right.
And yet this is like it's got nothing to do with the brain here. This is just a big fucking pole sitting at and it hard.
Oh, there's nothing big about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been swimming.
Anyway, crotch discomfort hurting your game? Fear no more. The kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. Sleek, soft, comfortable, and flexible, the brand new Boxers 2.0 from Manscaped take your balls to the royal ball throne. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming have the Lawnmower 4.0 for the trimming. So you can wear the Boxers 2.0 for the chillin'. They even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time you invest in your family jewels. So let your bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping by using our code TGC at manscaped.com. Okay. Oh, holy shit. The front fly opening of the micromodal fabric or some shit gives easy access and makes bathroom breaks quick and efficient. Multiple ways for entry and passage for your package. You can even choose from an arrangement of designs and colours and sizes range from small to 3XL for all my guys out there. From L Jeff to Nighthawk, your boys will be in the right hands.
What the fuck? Well,
So that's actually, it's a Manscaped ad. England has a new sponsor.
right, okay. Manscaped.
Manscaped.
Stuart
The
Board is
optical
sponsored
inch.
by Manscaped.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So
I suppose it's just gone by Valentine's Day as well.
yeah.
Do you celebrate Valentine's Day?
I don't. I have a very very welcome kind of understanding with
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
She actually did. She did surprise me. She just left me with a little gift for this trip that
Yeah.
I only found later. Like she hid something in my bag, which was a very private joke.
Kilo of heroin.
Happy Valentine's. I never want to see you again. You're dead.
Deliver this.
That's right. I
to
want
the-
you to die in Singapore.
to a hotel in Mumbai. Yeah.
But no, we don't really. You know, I'm not not wowzer about it.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
not so, like we'll mention it.
Yeah, sure.
Happy Valentine's Day. We have a good friend of ours.
right.
Her birthday's Valentine's Day, so
Ah,
I
okay.
remember that. So it's like we'll make sure we say happy birthday to Jenna.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
I'll send some flowers to LJ.
yeah.
Sounds like
Early
flowers.
on in a relationship. Though.
Yeah, we're sort
Yeah.
of 6-7 months in.
Yeah.
So
you got to observe.
You gotta keep the
It's your
romance
first-
alive
It's your
there.
first one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want to be going straight in 6 or 7 months in, just being like absolute capitalism, fucking breakfast, isn't it, babe? It's a fucking dog's breakfast of capitalism, don't you think?
Well, speaking of dog's breakfast, my balls are absolute dog's breakfast at the moment.
Yeah,
And I-
really?
Now, when I go home,
Really?
when I go home this weekend, I got to fly to Tasmania the next day because I've got a wedding
dude.
with
Oh,
I got a
you're
wedding with
fucking-
LJ.
Absolutely keen on that.
So
I reckon.
first name of the team sheet, Trim Balls.
Yeah. T-balls.
T balls.
Yeah. You said that to LJ. Oh, sorry. Have we said her name? Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we said LJ and, yeah, can you bring T-balls? And she brings a couple of T-balls for you to hit like a big fucking T.
Yeah.
Hit that off.
Actually, she sent a message to me this morning. I can.
Just chatting now. We're not on air, are we?
No, we're just having a chat. I can share this amongst the group. I think. She had a DM last night.
Oh, this would be good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can see this, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Laura, don't actually know who Ian belongs to, but could you please tell him about me as his huge fan of their so-called comedy stuff of grey cricket? Highest. Please do.
Well, and she did.
Yeah.
Like, he's done well there.
She passed it on. Yeah. So she's
He's,
yeah.
he's bypassed the fucking gates. Of
Now I probably should not.
DMs.
I probably should not have done that, should I? Because
Said that?
Yeah, because now people are going to message her to get to me, which is always good, isn't it? I actually I turned.
Somebody wrote to my wife's work email.
Oh yeah, that's.
Did I say
that's
that on
more,
air?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe Patreon.
Yeah, someone wrote a long email to, like, someone found my wife's fucking work email address.
Yeah.
She was not impressed.
No, I bet. No, I actually turned off the comments on my Instagram account, so only people that I follow can comment. Because I showed you this to you at the time, but like I think I posted a photo with LJ maybe a few months ago, and then someone it was a woman had then commented
Must be nice.
and tagged my ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
From like 6 years ago.
Sick.
And then it said like, "All burn at my ex-girlfriend," and I was like,
Awesome.
What the fuck is this?" And like, yeah, it was like, "Are you jealous?"
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like I do not need that in my life. And also, the comments were just getting ridiculous anyway. Like people just trying to get to my girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever. It's just I do not need it.
Yeah.
Anyway, now that we've spoken about it publicly, sort of amplify that. I'm sure that's going to end that.
Oh,
sort
it
of
is.
thing.
It's hard. Like, I find it difficult. Like, I'm not getting that kind of gear. But I, from time to time, would like to, like celebrate or revel in, my biased view of the cuteness of my children.
Right.
Because every parent is like that. And also to kind of amplify my personality by branding my children.
That's right.
Amplify my own brand by cynically using the vehicle of my children and their innocence.
Right.
Like people do. But it only I used to do it, and it only took like one comment from a stranger just mentioning my children.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a real shame, just from a branding perspective.
It's probably a bit of
love
bunts
to
in
get
that.
those. Well, you know, he's like, if I'm lacking a personality for myself, you know, which I am, get a few kids out there, then people are like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, he's a dad.
Oh, he's a dad.
He's a family man.
Oh, he's a family man. He's a family guy.
He's a family guy. Sponsors come absolutely fucking bolting in. He's the hot boy. He's the dad. Let's get a couple of sponsors in and around the group. We'll in turn get around them, and I could use my children to get money.
It's like when what's Milhouse's dad's name? Kurt. When Kurt gets fired from the cracker factory, he's like, we don't know if single people eat crackers. Frankly, we don't want to know. Anyway, that's Manscaped. Use the code TGC at manscaped.com for 20% and free shipping. Hashtag AskTGC. Priyan wrote in, boys, I typed this email from my bed after a night out, and all I could think of during the ride home was writing this email to you guys. After a long day at work, I come home to my wife wanting to go out for supper. She's pregnant and has cravings. So being a dutiful husband, I say absolutely, exhausted and not... Sorry.
Say okay.
I say, okay, absolutely exhausted and not enthused. It's going to be another night of baby talk. I'm extremely excited, but there's only so many things to talk about. But not to be. Who walks in and sits at the table next to us but Ian Higgins? Ah, nope. It was Faf du Plessis. Well, suddenly the whole night is different. I proceed to tell my long-suffering wife all about Faf, his new book, which I only learned of from TGC, about what a coat Daryl Cullen is, ball tampering, his punditry and cricket info, etc. Funnily enough, we once almost bought a plot of land next to his house. Faf is with an entourage of 10, including his wife, fresh from his book launch, all having a great time. During the night, he gets up to use the restroom, passes our table, and I greet him with, "How's it, Faf?" He greets back in a friendly enough way, but clearly doesn't want to make small talk with some randoms. This is where my wife challenges me, and I quote, "I'll give you 1,000 Rand if you tell him, hey, Faf, Daryl Cullen is a coat." This continues through the night, us making jokes and egging each other to approach him and deliver the line. Eventually we leave, and as we do, I smile a goodbye and say, DC is a coat. He looks back with zero comprehension and we walk out. Hashtag feels bad, man. Cheers from Cape Town, Priyan.
I like it.
Just a little tale, I suppose, of just seeing a famous person.
I mean, you would be confused if someone referred to someone else as a coat and you hadn't heard of it before.
Yeah.
It's just such a neutral, inanimate object that has come to represent so much.
I'd never heard of coat until you said it to me.
I hadn't heard of coat until I heard it at Balmain Cricket Club.
Oh, it's Balmain?
Balmain.
Not North.
Balmain. And possibly quite isolated to Balmain. It might have been around a little bit, but if anyone has any etymology of coat, like outside of that, you know, and we need to. Well, I heard it just to get the timings right. I think I played my first year of grade cricket in 2001. So if anyone's hearing it pre-2001 outside the Sydney metropolitan basin,
the basin specifically.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the basin in New Zealand.
No, because if you hear it in the Sydney metro basin pre-2001, it might have still been from the family of Balmain Cricket Club. So if anyone's getting it from the 80s or 90s, it was a common Victorian word or some shit like that.
Right.
Then,
that's from Gold Rush days.
Yeah. I know who I first heard it from too, and he's still reasonably influential figure in cricket.
It wasn't Mudguts, was it?
We talk so Mudguts. No, Mudguts at the club, MG. And if you're listening out there, MG, I love you and I hope you're well. One of the great characters at our club, MG. He really was. He was a real nucleus of the club, MG. Yeah. He at the time of playing, he used to play with his brother. His brother was first grader. MG was more twos and threes, but very much on the circuit with the sort of the guys, the circuit kings of the club, and very much inside the major stories that were happening at the club vis-a-vis circuit, off the field, and very funny guy. But as very much a stretching circle purveyor of conversations about those things,
that.
you know.
Love that.
And everyone
loved that MG.
Everybody loved MG, and it was just quite funny the other day because because we talk about MG. Like MG was good inspiration for our characters and books and stuff. Like one of, and I always got on with him. He was always like great with me as well, MG. But and stayed in contact. So I'm just setting all this up. But he was still MG. With MG is short for Mud Guts. And the other day we were in Bangalore at the RCB Bar and Cafe, and like every city in India has a Mahatma Gandhi road.
Yeah, MG Road.
MG has an MG road. I'm just wondering if they ever called Gandhi Mud Guts. or maybe not Mud Guts, but if they just ever called him MG, which for me just changes the gravitas.
He did
Just
so
imagine
much.
people in India, they're just calling him MG. Anyway, I don't know.
You coming in for a bun, MG?
I think the other thing I want to know about is like his pregnant wife will give him 1,000 rand. I just as a married man, people in partnerships will understand this, so de facto relationships or otherwise. Like, what is the economic arrangement? You know, like if people are giving money to each other, do they have separate accots as well,
I
or
see.
are we sharing, or has he got her on a percentage basis?
How'd you get her? What'd you get her on?
Yeah, she's taking commissions on things. You know, like I'm curious about. I think they haven't had a kid yet, but they're married, so I presume they've got some kind of arrangement in terms of their economic understanding. But
Yeah, because if it's a joint account and they're throwing out 1,000 rand.
that's what in corporates. That's what we call funny money.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that. There's coat stuff. I hope. And does he actually get the 1,000 rand? Because he said DC is a coat, not Cullinan.
Not for me.
Coat.
Not for me.
Yeah, because he could have been referring to Washington DC.
Yeah. Could have
Comics.
been. Yeah, DC Comics. Yeah. Dan
Shoe-
Christian.
Shoes.
Yeah.
Skate shoes.
All right. Well, if you want all the dailies for this Border Gavaskar series, patreon.com/Grey Cricketer, hashtag AskTGC Fridays is coming out in a couple of days' time. This will be the last podcast that we do in India for this time round. We go back home on Thursday night, India time. So we'll be back in Australia next time you hear from us on this here podcast. We've got a couple more days of filming here to do with some sponsors, which is going to be some cool stuff. But yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been India for the last couple of weeks. This might be the last chance. No, we'll probably talk about it at great length on Patreon. So if you want to get some more behind the scenes stuff, some BTS shit, patreon.com/Grey Cricketer. And whilst we figure out a sponsor for this here podcast, why don't you just support TGC by heading there and doing us a favour, or not? Those are your two options. See you guys next week.